guys, it's DBD Gamer Girl here. Welcome back to my channel. So I love the idea of the Baldur's Gate 3 companions in the modern day world, so I thought it would be an interesting video idea to kind of speculate on what I think their professions would be if they were in the modern day world. So kind of based on their personality and just their approaches to different quests in the game, etc. Just what job I think that they would be best at or what they would be doing if they were here with us today. So let's start with Gale. So Gale is obviously very bookish. He's very educated. I think he would 100% be a university professor. I think he would do a lot of research and he'd do really well with just teaching students. And, you know, even in Baldur's Gate, he basically does go off to do that in the ending if you don't ascend him into godhood. He does do a lot of teaching and a lot of research, so I think a professor would be the perfect profession for him in the modern world. Next, let's talk about Astarion. Astarion, I feel like, you know, his day job would be being a judge because, as you know, he was a magistrate before he became a vampire. So I feel like that would be very transferable to the modern world. But he also gives me the vibe that he would be kind of like a beauty guru or fashion influencer in his off time. He's very arrogant kind of about his looks, and I feel like I could kind of see him as a stylist, and I just feel like he could definitely influence people in the fashion industry. So I feel like he would kind of be doing that as a side hobby or a passion project, but for his profession, he would be a judge, I feel like. Okay, next for Shadowheart. Okay, Shadowheart definitely gives me like ICU or ER nurse. Like, I feel like on TikTok, I see a lot of content related to ICU nurses having really hectic schedules. Like, they work in shifts, they barely get any sleep. They're trying to stay awake with coffee. I feel like Shadowheart definitely fits that vibe, especially with her being a cleric in the game. Like, I've always kind of seen her as that healer aspect. But at the same time, she gives me really emo girl vibes. So I feel like she would be kind of a streamer on the side. She might be an e-girl. She'd probably be on Discord. And just like, you know, have a stream and try to be pursuing that like full-time eventually someday if possible. But I think she'd be really good at her job as a ER or ICU nurse as well. Okay, next let's talk about Lae'zel. Okay, Lae'zel would 100% be like a general in the military or something. She's very disciplined, and she's also very open to spreading her own views to other people. I think she would have a very strict regimen, and she would kind of just be really into the military mindset. I think she would be very dedicated and loyal, and I just think that like fits her personality, undying devotion to the country type of thing. That very much fits Lae'zel's character because she was very dedicated to Vlaakith and the cause, and it took a lot kind of to convince her otherwise. So I mean, if she could put that loyalty and dedication to some type of good use, I feel like she would definitely go for that approach. I think she would be good at what she does, you know, like I think she would be great for that. Okay, next for Halsin. Halsin definitely gives me the vibe that he'd be like a hiking guide, maybe a park ranger, definitely something nature or environmental related. I think he's just very inclined to be a part of nature, and I could literally just see him giving hiking tours. He would just be perfect for that. Like, he would tell you about all of the trees, he'd tell you about all of the birds, the bears, etc. And you know, if he were to somehow still have supernatural magical powers in the real world and become a druid, you know, if he was already in the woods anyways, then he could hide it better. Okay, next for Jaheira. I honestly feel like she would be some type of politician, whether that was a local politician like a mayor or even higher level like a governor or something like that. I just feel like she demonstrates a lot of leadership qualities with how she led the Harpers. And I also think that she would have some really strong views on environmental regulations, etc. So that would probably be a large part of her platform as well. Maybe something about global warming, etc. But just she would have very strong views on that. But she would also be just like a really great leader overall, holistically. And I feel like she would also be able to speak really well diplomatically. She just strikes me as a very mature and very grounded, and I think she would do a great job in that type of political field. Next, let's talk about Wyll. Wyll 100% gives me the vibe that he would be a cop in the modern day. I feel like he has a lot of strong opinions on what's morally right or wrong, and I feel like having the power to kind of dictate what happens with people or with crime is something that he would be really, really interested in pursuing. I think he would like to use his morality to help people out if possible. As a cop, he definitely just gives me those vibes. Also, you know, Wyll in his off time, I feel like he would be doing something like working with children. The reason that I get that vibe is because of how he was teaching that little boy how to sword fight. It really gave me the impression that he would be really good with kids. So I feel like he would also be leading some type of youth program, even if it was within the capacity of him being a cop. Next, let's talk about Karlach. Okay, Karlach, I feel like would be a personal trainer. Like, she'd be that super buff girl at the gym, and she would be really, really great, I feel like, in terms of motivation when you're going for personal training. I feel like she's a really, really good hype woman. She's very athletic, very powerful, and I just think that would fit her vibe perfectly. Like, I feel like you'd always be able to find her in the gym. She'd get along well with both guys and girls, and she would make an incredible trainer. Like, she would be hard enough on you that you're actually improving, but also not so harsh on you, or so like unmotivational that you're not able to, you know, actually cope with it. Next, for Minthara. Okay, honestly, I feel like she would be a CEO. I'm not really sure of what, maybe like a startup or something like that. But I feel like she has very leadership, corporate vibes. I feel like in the modern day world, like she would definitely be very rich, very successful, very academic. And I think she would also probably participate in something very religious, like outside of work. Like maybe she would be a leader at some type of church or religious gathering or something like that. But in terms of corporate, I definitely think that she gives me CEO. She would be a self-made woman for sure. Last but not least, let's talk about Minsc. I could see him being a worker at a doggy daycare or at an animal shelter or something like that. I feel like his connection with Boo would allow him to connect really well with animals. And I definitely don't see him in anything corporate. I feel like he would go for a more non-traditional, something like more lighthearted, more engaging with animals, etc. So I feel like that's, you know, where he would end up. And I think he would be great at what he does. Like, I could see him getting along with super difficult, aggressive dogs or something like that and kind of bring them out of their shell and work on training and stuff like that. I think he would be really fantastic at that, honestly. Anyway, so I hope you guys had fun, like, kind of speculating on what these different characters would do in the modern day world. Let me know if you have any other thoughts or ideas on what you think they'd be doing in the modern day world. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy my content. I hope you guys are having a great week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.